Hi everyone. A quick video to give some very important advice on using credit cards and bank cards in Panama. Some people even have called Panama like the cloning capital of the world. I've got no idea if that's true or not, but it does go to show that many people have bad experiences in Panama with cards being cloned. It's just so simple to avoid. Unfortunately, it's a very common thing for cashiers and people who want to take payment off your card to actually ask for the physical card. As the owner of your card, you should be the only person to touch your card. And my experience is, as someone who's worked in the National Credit Card Centre and Charge Card Centre for a major bank, so I'm very familiar with all the types of things that can happen and what's correct and what's incorrect. And basically the card is yours, no one else should be able to have it in their hand. It only takes a second or two to literally duplicate, clone that card, as they say. And it's just unfortunate that in Panama the cashiers almost train you, even the honest ones who don't have any training themselves in how to properly take payment from cards. They almost train everyone for the fraudsters, for the people who do want to clone your card, because they're almost always asking. There are some places where they're very well trained, and it's getting better, I think, but there's just far too many places where the cashier will ask to take the card off you and to put it in the machine. Now, you may not find that very high risk, but there's no telling what that person's going to do once they've got your card. They might do this, drop it, the card machine's here, and they just want to take the card and do that, apparently. How do you know the card's going to go here? How do you know they're not going to do that, drop the card, supposedly pick it up from the floor, and as they do it, swipe it, and then your card's duplicated. So just be firm and polite, and just say, no, I would like to use my card, or you could say, only I touch my own card, because they should really be trained better. It's not their fault. The people training them, or not training them, are really letting them down and you down and helping fraudsters. So please be confident, be polite, and don't let anyone take the card off you. Something also which you should know how to manage if you're doing that is that they may very often in Panama ask you for identity if you use a card, and quite often they'll get annoyed and ask for identity if you don't let them handle the card, just as a kind of lashing out, basically. So when they ask you for identification, what they're going to look at is your name on the card and just compare it to your name in your ID. So again, without letting them touch your card, just show them both simultaneously, and so they can see your name is identical, covering with my hands my information for the purposes of the video. But I'm going to hold it up and show it like that, so they can see my photo and my name match. That's all they need to see. And if they're not satisfied with that, I've never known them not to be, but if they're not, then something's wrong. And obviously if you've got two cards, you just hold up your ID card showing your name and photo and this at the same time, and they should be able to just match, and that's all they need. So don't feel uncomfortable, just being assertive and polite and letting them know it's your property, only you touch it, and get them to bring the machine. This is a strange thing in Panama. The machine's like over there, and they won't even pass you the machine. So put your hand out, grab the machine if it's on a cable. Some supermarkets it is correctly positioned near you, but don't feel inconveniencing them is something to avoid. At the end of the day, the whole system is there for you, and that's another thing. The screen on the payment machine is for you, it's not for them. So what they may try to do is, when you put the card in the machine, they'll turn it and they'll want to see the screen. Well, that's not for them, it's for you. For example, in some unusual but not non-existent instances, it might give you an option of which currency to pay in, your home country currency or the currency of the country you're in. Only you should be looking at that panel and overseeing your transaction, because that panel will say if your transaction has been authenticated and authorized or declined. Now, if you're not able to see that and they just say it's been declined, you're going to have to ask them for a printout to prove it's been declined, really, before you put your PIN and everything through again, because you can't see that it's been declined. So you really need to have visual on that machine all the way through the transaction until it says it's authorized. And if not, you're letting yourself in for other possible problems as well. And it's also worth noting that I advise checking your statement every month, and don't just look out for a huge big fraud on there that would stand out. In some cases, I remember seeing fraud that just been drip, drip, drip over. Some people only noticed after 3, 4, 5 years and called us about what the transactions this month. And I've looked at their accounts and it's gone back for years and years, and they've only noticed it at that time later on, and they were never aware that previous transactions were there. So fraud isn't always really obvious, a huge transaction or a huge bunch of transactions. So I hope that's been useful for you. Trying to make this a quick short video. I'm going to do a few short blast videos just giving best advice to avoid problems. There's a lot of talk in this world about positive stuff and making progress, and actually the real thing that makes us successful in many cases is avoiding the problems. And there's a saying, I want to know where I'll die so I don't go there. And you can really have a good time and make progress very easily if you don't lose money, if you don't lose time, if you don't become a victim of fraud and have to manage that. So I hope this has helped you, and please subscribe to my channel if you've not. The more subscriptions I get, the more time I can devote to the channel and share my knowledge as someone who's spent years and years in Panama and has a lot of inside knowledge to share with you.